Ellen Greenberg, a 27-year-old teacher, was deeply loved, engaged, and preparing for her upcoming wedding day. On January 26, 2011, a Philadelphia snowstorm forced schools to close early, sending Ellen home earlier than usual. That evening, her Samuel Goldberg went to the gym, leaving Ellen alone inside their shared Manayunk apartment. Returning later, Samuel discovered the apartment's swing bar lock secured from inside, preventing him from opening the door. He texted Ellen repeatedly, growing frustrated when she didn't reply, and even threatened to break down the door. After forcing entry, Samuel found Ellen slumped against kitchen cabinets, a knife embedded deep in her chest. Shocked and panicked, he dialed 911, insisting Ellen stabbed herself, repeating phrases like she fell on a knife. First responders rushed in, but tragically Ellen was already dead, declared unresponsive at the crime scene itself. At first, investigators treated her death as suicide, but the autopsy revealed details that changed everything dramatically. Ellen had 20 stab wounds, including 10 to her chest and 10 to her neck and head. Forensic experts said suicides by stabbing are extremely rare, and 20 wounds were virtually impossible to self-inflict. One stab pierced her heart. Another hit her spinal cord injuries that would incapacitate instantly, ending all movement. Ellen also bore 11 bruises at different healing stages, hinting at possible prior abuse or physical altercations. The medical examiner first classified Ellen's death as homicide, matching the evidence and giving her family hope. But within weeks, under unclear circumstances, the ruling was reversed, her death now labeled suicide instead of homicide. Ellen's devastated parents immediately rejected this, convinced their daughter would never take her own life. Friends confirmed Ellen was positive, future-focused, and excited about her marriage, showing no visible signs of suicidal ideation. Critics questioned why investigators leaned heavily on the locked door theory while ignoring overwhelming forensic contradictions. Experts pointed out swing bar locks could be manipulated, staged, or bypassed, making them unreliable evidence for suicide. Even stranger, the apartment was cleaned the next day, destroying possible forensic evidence critical for investigation. Samuel's uncle, a respected judge, entered the apartment to retrieve belongings before investigators conducted a proper search. Though police later reclaimed items, the chain of custody was compromised, leaving evidence forever questionable and incomplete. Many wondered, was this incompetence, negligence, or deliberate interference to protect someone from deeper scrutiny? Meanwhile, Ellen's bruises were dismissed as irrelevant, despite strongly suggesting previous violence and possible ongoing abuse. Independent experts worldwide condemned the suicide ruling, agreeing Ellen's injuries were consistent only with homicide. One pathologist stressed, after such wounds, she couldn't continue stabbing herself. This must be homicide. Ellen's parents launched a relentless campaign, determined to expose truth and correct the record for their daughter. They sought media coverage, petitions, and legal action, refusing to accept silence or bureaucratic excuses. True crime communities rallied behind them, dissecting case files, timelines, and inconsistencies across online platforms and forums. Samuel's timeline raised doubts: why unanswered texts? Why such a delay before he called for help? Yet investigators never labeled him suspect, choosing to support the suicide explanation instead of exploring deeper possibilities. In 2018, Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro's office took over, raising hopes for genuine reinvestigation. Sadly, by 2019, the AG's office declared again Ellen's death was suicide, effectively closing the case. Her parents were devastated but refused to stop fighting, believing their daughter deserved nothing less than justice. Journalists uncovered contradictions. Official statements clashed with forensic reports, raising further suspicion of a botched or biased inquiry. International forensic specialists emphasized again Ellen's wounds simply did not align with a self-inflicted act of violence. Suicide by stabbing typically involves 1 or 2 strikes. Ellen endured 20, including impossible back and neck wounds. The case became symbolic of investigative failure, corruption, and disregard for grieving families seeking only truth. In 2025, a shocking twist reignited interest. The original pathologist admitted his suicide ruling was wrong. He confessed Ellen's death should always have been ruled homicide, validating everything her parents fought for. But his reversal carried no legal weight. He no longer worked for the medical examiner's office. Official records still listed suicide, despite his public admission and overwhelming forensic evidence suggesting otherwise. This fueled speculation. Was there institutional pressure to protect someone or maintain a specific narrative? Why was homicide reversed? Why was the apartment cleaned? Why ignore glaring contradictions in Elon's injuries? Each question fueled suspicion that Elon's case was more than mishandling. It might have been deliberate cover-up. Her parents continued appearing on national media, refusing silence, determined their daughter's truth reached the world. Ellen's story spread across podcasts, documentaries, and YouTube, amplifying awareness and keeping her memory alive globally. Viewers were outraged. How could 20 stab wounds ever equal suicide, especially with incapacitating injuries? Ellen's story became a rallying cry for victims' families facing similar institutional failures and corruption. People demanded Pennsylvania reopen the case, fix Ellen's record, and deliver long overdue accountability. Yet officials stood firm, citing finality, refusing to revisit one of the most controversial rulings ever. Meanwhile, Ellen's parents clung to hope. Certain persistence would one day force justice to prevail. Her haunting story exemplifies how institutions can fail victims, families, and society in pursuit of convenience. The locked door, once proof of suicide, became the symbol of unanswered questions haunting this entire case. The bruises, once dismissed, remain powerful evidence of prior struggle, evidence authorities ignored without real explanation. The apartments rushed, cleaning highlighted negligence or possibly deliberate destruction of truth itself. The pathologist's later confession underlined corruption or pressure. Ellen's death was never simply suicide. Despite all this, Ellen's official record remains unchanged, her death still recorded falsely as suicide. To her parents, this isn't only about Ellen, it's about systemic accountability for all families failed by justice. To the public, Ellen's story represents the dangers of power, negligence, and silence protecting the wrong people. True crime investigators often call Ellen's case the most egregious misclassification in modern American forensic history. Many believe her story may one day unlock deeper truths about corruption within Philadelphia's institutions. Until then, her parents fight on, driven by love, truth, and refusal to accept official lies. Ellen's haunting memory continues, inspiring documentaries, articles, and growing communities dedicated to justice. Her case proves even one determined family can ignite national attention and shake entire systems. Ellen's tragic story teaches us never to accept easy answers. When evidence clearly demands deeper investigation, she reminds us truth matters, even when institutions desperately try to bury it under convenience. Justice delayed is justice denied, but silence only guarantees injustice continues. Ellen's case asks the world one question: homicide, suicide, or cover-up? The truth still waits, and until justice comes, Ellen Greenberg's story will remain a haunting reminder of truth denied.